Once again, it's that time. Time to talk about more Fallout 4 DLC. The topic of today's video is going to be the smallest of the 3 add-ons announced by Bethesda, entitled Wasteland Workshop. Now, I'm not gonna lie here, this one does seem to be a relatively minor project, so there isn't too much to speculate on, and as such, don't expect this video to be too long or too in-depth. At the same time though, there definitely are a couple of things in here that are worth discussing, and that's the whole reason why I'm making this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this. I'll start by reading Bethesda's official description of this add-on. With Wasteland Workshop, design and set cages to capture live creatures, from raiders to Deathclaws. Tame them or have them face off in battle, even against your fellow settlers. The Wasteland Workshop also includes a suite of new design options for your settlement, like nixie tube lighting, letter kits, taxidermy, and more. Finally, the DLC will cost $5 and is releasing in April of 2016. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss is this whole business of capturing creatures. So apparently with this DLC, we're going to be able to capture creatures and have them fight in some sort of arena, but my question is, how exactly is this capturing business going to work? Well, what I think is that for starters, this DLC is going to allow us to craft traps to capture creatures and various enemies in the Wasteland. But the problem with this is that assuming we can only build traps in settlement areas, I feel like it's going to be rather difficult to capture enemies. So my prediction with regards to this is that perks like Animal Friend, Wasteland Whisperer, and Intimidation are going to play an instrumental role in capturing enemies. If you could just pacify and command an enemy to get itself captured, then I feel like it would make things a lot easier. Otherwise, I would imagine that capturing things is going to be a huge pain in the ass, but at the same time, the prospect of trying to take a Deathclaw captive sounds pretty enjoyable to me. Next, it's pretty obvious that we're going to be able to have enemies that we've captured fight against one another in some sort of arena. For those of you who remember back to the E3 2015 Fallout 4 trailer, they actually showed a clip of this feature. And this is definitely going to be pretty cool, but there's one concern that I have about it. The Fallout 4 settlement building system is already very finicky and buggy. So if we have to build cages to capture creatures and arenas to have them face off in, I have a feeling that these functionalities are going to be pretty buggy as well. Now, if Bethesda just had a structure called Arena in the settlement building option that literally built an entire arena for you, then I would imagine that all of this is going to be pretty easy to code, but if we have to handcraft arenas and traps ourselves, I have my doubts that it's going to be bug-free. In general, this sounds like the type of DLC that's very prone to glitches, so while it undoubtedly sounds really cool in concept, I'm predicting there to be a lot of bugs in this DLC. Although I will admit, it looks like this arena feature was cut from the original game, so they've probably had a lot of time to work on it. Moving on, I want to talk about the prospect of taming creatures in this DLC. So here's the first question that I have. Bethesda says in their description that we can tame creatures, but what exactly does this mean? Can we permanently make Deathclaws our pet? Because if so, that would be absolutely insane. Or is it just them saying that you can capture enemies and then use perks like Animal Friend, Wasteland Whisperer, and Intimidation on them? If I had to guess, I would say that the latter is the case, simply because if they did give you the ability to permanently tame creatures, it would make those 3 perks I mentioned completely obsolete. So when Bethesda mentions taming creatures, I think it's just a reference to pacifying them using perks that are already in the game. Even still, I really hope they do make it so that you can have a permanent Deathclaw companion and pet. That would just about make my entire week. Another thing I should probably touch on is that I really don't expect there to be a quest line associated with this DLC. Judging from its description and title, this DLC is most likely going to be an expansion on the settlement building system, and that's it. Bethesda makes literally 0 hints to any sort of quest or storyline associated with this add-on, so I think it's pretty safe to say that we aren't going to get any new quests or anything, and that this DLC is going to be restricted to enhancing our settlements. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, let's talk about potential changes Bethesda is making to the settlement building system. To begin with, it's obvious that we're going to be getting some pretty cool new items for our settlements. For those of you who don't know exactly what these items are, since I actually didn't know what they were before making this video, but nonetheless, taxidermy is the art of stuffing and mounting the skins of animals for display, and nixie tube lighting is sort of hard to explain, so I'll just show you guys a picture here. Now, these are undoubtedly really cool and fun, but they aren't exactly mind-blowing or anything. It's true that taxidermy sounds really cool, and I'm super excited to hang a Deathclaw head on my wall, but I wouldn't exactly say it's going to change the way Fallout 4 is played or anything like that. Similarly, NixieTube isn't going to revolutionize settlements despite how cool it sounds. And I sort of doubt that in general, Bethesda is going to be introducing any crazy items because this DLC is only $5 after all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I recommend keeping your expectations fairly low since this isn't Bethesda's trump card, so to speak. Far Harbor is a completely different story though, since that DLC looks absolutely crazy, but this one is definitely more of a side attraction in my opinion. So regarding the new settlement items, they're cool but nothing to write home about. Along the same lines, a lot of people have been claiming that Wasteland Workshop is going to be a huge revamp to the settlement building system, and that Bethesda is going to fix a lot of the issues with it, as well as make things a ton more convenient for us. Since, in all honesty, the settlement building system is cool, but it has its limitations. Now, my opinion on this, and I hate to be the pessimist here, but I just don't see this happening. From what we know, the settlements in Fallout 4 were an extremely difficult feature for Bethesda to code, meaning making changes to its core mechanics would also be pretty difficult. And once again, this DLC is only $5, so Bethesda probably hasn't put an incredible amount of resources into it. And don't mistake this as me trying to hate on Bethesda or anything like that, since they made it pretty clear from the start that Wasteland Workshop is more of a side attraction before the main event in Far Harbor, so I'm perfectly fine with it. What I am trying to say though, is that I don't see them touching the actual mechanics of the settlement system too much, and I'm actually sort of glad they aren't, since I would rather them focus on Far Harbor. Overall, to give you guys a final verdict, I'm definitely hyped for this DLC, but I'm a little bit afraid about potential glitches, and I'm also not keeping my expectations too overly high. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much going to do it for this DLC analysis video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Fallout 4 content in the future. Also, be sure to let me know your thoughts on this DLC and Bethesda's announcement down below in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.